Hello everyone, Frank Gallardo, 209 Times. Today in the house we have CHRISTINA Fugazi running for Stockton Mayor. And a little bit about CHRISTINA really quick. She has 8 years city council experience, 8 years city planning commissioner. She's a former vice mayor. CHRISTINA Fugazi, nice to have you here.
Nice to be here, thank you.
We know you. But how about for the voters who don't? Would you mind giving us just a little background about, number one, who you are and why you are running this time?
Well, one of the main things is as I am a teacher. I'm now a vice principal, but I've been an educator for 30 years, had taught Stockton kids my entire career, and I'm very, very proud of that. My family, there have been 7 generations in Stockton. The youngest of that is 4, turning 4, but definitely somebody who loves my city and wants the best for my city. And why I'm running for mayor is exactly that. I look at the students that we have and I think about their future and I wonder what is it going to be like if we don't start making change now. We can't wait anymore. And so I think that I am the best person for the job, and I said, hey, why me? Why not me?
CHRISTINA, as we mentioned in the beginning, you do have a long history of serving the city of Stockton. During this almost 2 decades of service, what would you say have been your biggest accomplishments while being part of the Stockton City Council?
Well, if we go back to Planning Commission, I want to take it back just a little.
Okay.
When I was on Planning Commission, we were going through the general plan. Now, the general plan is basically mapping out the future of a city for development, green spaces, safety, all those kind of things. And I voted no on the general plan. We had 30 meetings about the general plan with the public involved. And when I voted no, people were very upset with me. But I said, it's urban sprawl and we got to think about public safety. And here we are spreading the city even further north. And then it wasn't a good feeling to be the person voting no on something and being then kind of called out for it. And then let's move forward. There was a lawsuit that happened. Yep. Jerry Brown was the Attorney General at the time, and the Sierra Club sued the city of Stockton, and the city of Stockton lost. And they said that the general plan was a textbook example of urban sprawl. So I was kind of right in voting no.
I would say you were right.
Yes. And so let's fast forward a little. I get elected to city council. One of the first things that my constituents really wanted was Fair Oaks Library to be reopened. It's on the east side, an area that has, low graduation rates, low literacy rates, and we needed that library open. It was on the for sale list, one of our properties for sale, and I said, nope, it's got to be taken off that list. And I had a little bit of resistance from the city manager then. But I said, hey, people are going to show up to the meeting and they're all going to demand that this library be off the selling block and be reopened. And I was told we were able to get it off, but we wouldn't be able to fund it. Well, guess what? We were able to fund it, and we got it opened in 18 months. So we got it off the for sale list and reopened in 18 months, which I'm told is like a lightning speed in government. Victory Park Pool, it's supposed to be getting done, but it was something that I pushed really hard. Let's talk about Stribley Park. I got new bathrooms in Stribley Park when they didn't have any, where they have kids out there. They have CalMex baseball, got the courts resurfaced, and got new lighting because parents would have to park their cars with the lights pointed to the field, because once daylight savings happens, when we fall back, it's dark and they're out there practicing football and cheerleading. So I did that. There are actually other things. I was chair of the San Joaquin Regional Rail Commission, or we're having the Stockton Diamond Project coming.
I was just going to ask you, that's part of the Stockton Diamond Project, right?
Yes,
Could you
yes.
explain to our listeners what that is?
So right now we have several lines of rail. We have lines that go north-south, we have lines that go east-west, we have lines that kind of go diagonally, we have lines that are used by UP, BNSF, I know these are all numbers, CCT, or just a number of them. But this project is, we're talking about billions of dollars, not trillions. It's going to be a flyover, so it's going to reduce air pollution, it's going to reduce noise pollution, but it's also going to reduce people getting stuck at the rail crossings for extended periods of time. And it's going to create tons of jobs, and it's going to beautify the area. So it's just a win-win all the way around.
And how long were you? You were the chair of that, right?
I was chair for 3 years.
Right.
I was on it for 7.
And it's finally now, this is actually going to be coming to fruition.
Yes, and hopefully during my term on mayor, I will see it get done.
Hopefully your term of mayor, which is, let's talk about that a little bit. If this was to happen, that would be November 5th, correct? That's
when the election is, yes.
And the ballots are already coming out, right?
Yes, people have already gotten the ballots. I've had people say, I've already voted for you and sent in my ballot.
And what are the ways that people can vote?
Well, you can vote by mail, you can vote in person, you can drop your ballot in the mail, it's postpaid. You can drop it off at the registrar's office, which is downtown in the county building on the 3rd floor. You can also put it in Dropbox. There's drop boxes in different places around the city. And if you're not registered to vote, you can still vote. Go down to the registrar's office, you fill out the paper, and you can still vote in this election.
Very nice. So, let's say November 5th, you do become the next mayor of the city of Stockton. Day one, what are your primary priorities?
Public safety is absolutely essential. We can't look at doing anything else in this city if we don't have a safe city. And I will tell you that Measure A has been kind of a thorn in my side. And the reason for that, for people that don't know, Measure A is a 3/4 cent tax that the city promised we would have 485 officers. Well, the closest we got was 470, which is pretty close. And that happened when I was on council. Then when I left council, man, the numbers got as low as 344 officers, which was what it was in bankruptcy. But this tax also had a Measure B part of it, which was for oversight. Now, they changed it to advisory. And what's happened is, over 10 years, we're talking about nearly $360 million has come into the city, paid by the taxpayers, to make sure that we have 485 officers, and that hasn't happened. The Measure A commission said it needs to be audited. I agreed with that. I am the only council member who agreed with that audit. In fact, I voted no on Measure A, not because I don't want a safe city, I do, and I voted yes on Measure B.
Nice.
Because my concern was that the money would not be spent correctly. And here we go, all this money was collected, 65% of it, so $234 million should have been going to public safety. Now, $234 million should hire quite a few police officers in my mind. And that's one of the reasons why I voted no on the budget. People were like, how are you voting no on the city budget? Well, they were putting money for Measure A towards something called mission critical funds. And I'm like, we're not doing that. So public safety being my first thing, making sure that we have a line item in the budget in the general fund that has 65% of that money coming in automatically going there, so that there aren't any questions. And then we have to build trust in our community and transparency. That's big for me. Absolutely have to have those things in order to create a city where people will be more receptive to working with our officers, and the officers working with our residents, it really is, has to be a symbiotic relationship. They have to be able to work together, the citizens and our police department, in order to make this the safest city that we can.
Okay, so if I'm hearing you correctly, you're not real happy with the implementation of Measure A, and would you, yes or no, would you say that Measure A currently is following generally accepted accounting principles? Because you're talking about transparency and oversight, is the city doing a good job in that area of auditing Measure A, or are they following GAAP or not?
So Measure A, they did this on purpose. It's a general fund tax. So
Not a special tax.
by law, they don't have to, because all the money goes into the general fund.
Right.
But how does that build trust in our community? How do the taxpayers feel that their money is being well spent when the city isn't being transparent about how that money is spent? So when the council voted to re-up it for another 10 years, even though we failed at it for the first 10 years, people were like scratching their head. Well, we didn't get what we wanted to begin with. So why aren't we then making sure to audit it so that the public, the taxpayers, are like, okay, well now I can get behind that because I can see where the money's going.
So the fact that this has been re-upped for 10 years as a general tax, do you think it's possible to, can this problem be fixed at this point? Can we, what is your solution to the lack of accountability that we're seeing in Measure A now?
That's why I said I would like a line item where 65%
Nice.
goes right into
Okay.
public safety. So in the budget, we have, first of all, it's a very big document. It has all of the departments. It has our staffing numbers. It has our numbers from last year, our budgets over the last 3 years, whether we have overspent, underspent, and I will tell you, we have had a carryover of funds ever since we came out of bankruptcy. So last year we had $41.1 million that was unspent, okay? Well, where does that money go then?
Well, it sure would be nice if it was going into having more police officers on the street, right?
My thoughts exactly.
Yeah. So I appreciate your position on Measure A, and I think a lot of people in Stockton do also. Are there any final words that you would like to tell the voters of Stockton as to why they should vote for Christina Fugazi November 5th for Stockton City Mayor?
Well, I would say one of the main reasons is because I can hit the ground running. I have the experience, I have the political knowledge, the history. I know the promises that we've made, and I know the ones that we haven't kept. And that's not fair to the voters. I do my homework, I study the staff reports, I go and make sure that I ask other people as well. I put it out to the public. I ask the public, how do you want this item to pass or not pass? How do you feel about it? And I think that is probably job number one of any elected, is you work for the people, you answer to the people, and that's something that I've always done, and you can count on that with me being your mayor.
Well, Christina Fugazi running for Stockton City Mayor. Ballots are out already. November 5th is voting day, but you know how voting is in California now. Voting's every day, all the way up until November 5th. Christina, thank you very much for coming on. Thank you for your hard stance with Measure A. I appreciate that, and I know a lot of other people do too. So thank you, everybody.